Alright, it is time to talk about Sergio Pérez, the man who could be champion. This video could have probably happened for, well, I could have done this video for any of the drivers that are at Ferrari or Red Bull. But this one is going to Sergio Pérez. It's not going to Charles Leclerc because he'll probably be the selected champion for a different season. But anyway, so how can Sergio Pérez win championship from here? Yes, he has retired, DNF'd at the Canadian Grand Prix. But, well, the story doesn't necessarily end there. And it doesn't end there for Leclerc either, even though he was only able to muster up a 5th place finish. But, well, this is the thing, right? This is the thing. If you're going to challenge for a championship, at least convincingly, then you're going to have to, at some points, eventually overtake the likes of a George Russell, a Sir Lewis Hamilton, a Max Verstappen. But anyway, this is Perez's video. So how can Perez win the championship from here? Firstly, we have to note that there is going to be interference from Red Bull. Why is there going to be interference from Red Bull? Because Red Bull, one could argue philosophically, Red Bull don't want a driver who is not of the Red Bull Academy to win a championship in their car. One could argue that, and it would probably be concrete. It would probably be fair, because they didn't really let Mark Webber, quote unquote, challenge for a championship. Even though I never really considered Mark Webber good enough to really challenge for a championship. It's neither here nor there. It's neither here nor there. But there is going to be interference for Perez from Red Bull. Why is there going to be interference? Because, one has to justify this because, well, aren't they, by the canon, supposed to be in a championship fight with Ferrari? And here's the thing, Ferrari are just not convincing enough this season, unfortunately. They're just not convincing enough. And I don't think it'll get to a point where Red Bull are forced into using second driver tactics. I don't think it'll get to that point for them. It won't be like 2021 where, you have to put a Sir Lewis Hamilton in a handicap match. So Red Bull are open to run interference on him. I believe, my belief, I'm not saying this is the gospel or anything, but my belief is that they've sabotaged Perez's engine in Canada, and that he's been sabotaged by Red Bull in some fashion in Monaco post-race. Why do I say that? Well, I can only assume that he was partying his win in Monaco, well, since the race ended, all the way through to whenever that picture happened, and well, after that, we can all assume safely. And it's all happened on Red Bull's watch. Now, I don't know how anyone there hasn't pulled him aside, said, look, I know there's some pretty galdem here, but just maybe think of heading to the hotel room before you maybe do something silly. Who knows, right? I would assume that if Sergio Perez is a part of the Red Bull team, that someone would do this. Maybe I'm wrong for assuming that. The alternative is that well, he was set up, someone, not even someone, like a group of folks from Red Bull were undoubtedly instructed by a helmet marker, most likely, bring in some pretty galdem, get Checo a little sauced up, get him in a compromising position, take a little snap with the camera phone over there, and then and then here's Journo's number, send it to him, and bada bing bada boom, 48 hours later, whoa, there's a scandal going on. So whatever particularly happened in Monaco, I mean, we could even get like esoteric with it. Helmut Marko gave Checo a keyword, because Checo must be an MK asset, gave Checo a keyword and he forgot who he was for a second. He just put the moves on some Gyaldem. Maybe the Gyaldem is also an MKS, and they were both given keywords and they just did a dance and they took a snap. But anyway, let's not get too adventurous with it. But yes, whatever happened post-race in Monaco, I'm pretty sure that's a setup by Red Bull. Because Pérez was starting to look a little threatening for the star boy Verstappen. I mean, he won Monaco, so all bets are off after that, really, after winning Monaco. So, yeah, I can understand. Well, I would expect. So I would expect of Red Bull to have sabotaged them in some way, especially for Canada, but I digress. This is what Pérez is up against. He is not the star boy, he is not even off the academy, so you're not the favorite. You're not the favored guy internally. But you can still win, don't worry. So what else is he up against? Verstappen is limit testing himself. This is something Verstappen's doing right now. He's quite literally limit testing himself because there isn't really anyone else to race against. Perhaps there would still be people to race against if he didn't have, well, if he wasn't trying to beat a Sir Lewis Hamilton, perhaps there would still be people to race against because he was building up to a title challenging season for a few years. Yes, the regulations got changed in questionable fashion, but his form was building up to a title challenge for, I'll give it 3 years, 2-3 years. And now, well, Sir Lewis doesn't have the car to race Verstappen. So who is Verstappen really racing against? Not really racing against anyone, he's just racing against himself. So he's limit testing himself right now. So this is why in Baku, if you remember from the footage, where he was having a chat with the pit wall, with Horner and friends on the pit wall, as to what lap times he should be running. I forget what exactly the number was. What was it? 42 6s or 42 2s or something. And yeah, he was testing himself to see just how close to the lap time he could get, just the target lap time he could get, just how metronomic he could get with it. And he'll probably find himself doing that pretty often if Ferrari don't mount a considerable challenge. Mind you, he's still got this is where Pérez can find an edge. Verstappen still has some questions about himself to answer, and he knows that himself. He still has some holes in the psyche, you could even say. Why is that? Because he himself knows 2021 wasn't quite legitimate. This is why he lost, well, I'm not going to say he lost his cool, but his composure was a little bit shaken when he came out behind Sir Lewis Hamilton at the Canadian Grand Prix. There are some edges to get on Verstappen for Checo. There are some edges to get on him here and there, but he is effectively racing uphill. Verstappen is maybe racing downhill, who knows, but he is effectively racing uphill. Why is he racing uphill? Because he has to win against Red Bull's internal meddling, and he also has to match a Verstappen who is in some really incredible form. It has to be said in a frank way, right? He's in some really incredible form. Leclerc has arguably matched that form, but it's very obvious that Verstappen still has some gears to pull on as the season wears on, quite frankly. And why does he have those gears to pull on? Well, because he went against Sir Lewis Hamilton all season, and damn, he almost looked as old as his old man at the back end of the season with the sudden new tempo that Sir Lewis Hamilton found at the back end of the season. Anyway, there are still some holes in Verstappen's game for Pérez to exploit. They aren't exactly driving related. They aren't exactly related to his talent behind the wheel. More just related to how his own mental space would be working after Abu Dhabi 2021. Because, I mean, the way he reacted on the radio when Sir Lewis came out, when he came out of the pits and he was behind Sir Lewis. Well, I mean, that said it all, really. That said it all. There's still some, well, because Verstappen knows that his win was not legitimate, there's still some trepidation on his side as to, oh my goodness, I've come out and it's Sir Lewis Hamilton ahead of me, and the Merc hasn't looked all that bad this weekend. Am I going to be stuck behind him for the Grand Prix? Who knows? You know, these things play on the driver's mind, but it is what it is. So the question for Verstappen is, can his form be maintained, especially with shifting dynamics in regards to car performance as the season goes on? And this is where we have to now talk about interference and who is going to be running interference for Checo on Checo's behalf. So are Ferrari going to run interference? Well, they may or may not run interference, right? What Sainz did in Monaco was effectively running interference for Checo. So will there be Grand Prix where the car clicks for Checo and he's got the Ferrari separating him and Verstappen? Maybe, who knows? But Verstappen has had a moment in the season like that, and I don't expect those moments to last long, right? So it's come and gone already, it's past. And that moment was Spain and Monaco. That was the moment. Those two Grand Prix, who knows what might have happened, a difficult home situation or what have you. But it was little of form. The Ferraris were able to get ahead of him, the pair of them, and Pérez kept his form. He maintained his form. So Pérez would have to maintain a form similar to what Verstappen is pulling out right now, or similar to what Leclerc is pulling out when the Ferrari is not letting him down. And he would have to hope that, the Ferrari boys maintain their form. Sainz perhaps even finds a little bit extra form, and that, Ferrari can finish some Grand Prix behind him, separating him from Verstappen. Because if that happens, Red Bull are going to have a difficult time talking over the radio to Checo, telling him to let Verstappen behind if there's a Ferrari in the way. So that's one avenue that could perhaps help Pérez. Another avenue that could perhaps help Pérez is some Mercedes interference, in the same vein as the Ferrari interference. But the Mercedes interference I would expect to be much more fleeting, right? It might be a Grand Prix, two Grand Prix, where Mercedes are on par with the Red Bulls and Ferrari, and then they fade away for the rest of the season. Because if those two Mercedes boys, lads, if they get ahead of any of the title challengers, right, it can be Verstappen, it can be Sainz, right, if they get ahead of any of them in a Grand Prix and the car is even enough on race pace, they're not getting by. They'll be stuck there for the Grand Prix. And that was Verstappen's worry when he came out behind Sir Lewis Hamilton. And that will be all of their worries in any of these Grand Prix that are coming up. It's anyone's guess what the technical directives are going to do. This Donny, divorce lawyer, suicide encouragement, I don't even know how is this name like politically correct or politically incorrect? I really don't know. I really don't know. Very unique username. But this Donny, he should make videos. He's got a very unique outlook on F1. He's got a very unique outlook. I'd like to hear his take when the technical directives land, but I'll probably get it in a comment somewhere, a very considered comment. Now, will Mercedes time their interference on Checo's behalf? No, they will just be good when they are good. Okay, yeah, it's up to Checo or whoever so challenges, but this video is for Checo. It's up to Checo to grab the moment when it presents itself, especially if Verstappen is off color for those weekends, for whatever reason he might be off color. But especially if he is off color, then it's vital, because if he can get a pair of Ferraris and one Mercedes, or best case scenario 2 Mercedes, to finish between him and Verstappen, anything's on at that point. I think even Red Bull would have a very difficult time justifying team orders in post or what have you. And just on the matter of team orders, right? Just on the matter of Red Bull and team orders, I do have to give Horner some credit here because he is a racing driver. Wasn't a good racing driver though, so he understands on some level how a driver just needs to be told that yeah, you can race even if you're never really gonna race, but yeah, you can race because that will get a level extra out of the driver. Whether that's actually what he believes or not, I don't know. But him not having been a good driver, probably being paired up with some or another future star, be they in WEC or IndyCar or whatever, you know, he was probably shaded. But he was probably told all the time, like, yeah, you can race with this guy. Don't worry, race with him. And whoever the team manager was at that junior Formula he was running, what was that? Formula 3000 at the time? Who knows? I don't think he made Formula 3000. That's effectively Formula 2. What was it, F4? I think it was F4. Anyway, Horner having never really been a good racing driver, this is also why he's got a soft spot for Alex Albon. But Horner having never been a good racing driver, I would imagine he is somewhat living vicariously through Checo in some fashion. You know, a driver who would never be considered for a Red Bull Driver Academy slot, but oh look, here he is now in the Red Bull, he's doing the thing. And Horner, he's a racer. He was a racing driver, he's a racer. So if the team were being run by him, then he would have them race, I'm pretty sure. It might be controversial to say that, but I'm pretty sure he would have them race. Because the team is not run by him and it's actually run by Helmut Marko, Christian Horner just handles the racing operation, the trackside operations, overseeing that. But because the team is actually run in a decision-making sense by Helmut Marko on Dietrich Mateschitz' behalf, he's the guy who's going to say, yeah, these two are not racing. That's why Marko can say that Red Bull have a clear number one and number two driver, just like Ferrari or what have you, whichever order he said it in. Ferrari have a clear number one and number two driver, just like Red Bull have a clear number one and number two driver. Right? That's why he can say that. Because he knows what the actual order is, Helmut Marko. Horner, he might know that on his own principles, on his own philosophy, he would want them to race. He's not going to get that. And this is what Pérez is up against. And Horner, he's going to protect his own bag at the end of the day. He likes the vibe of Red Bull anyway. He gets to talk loose on people who are not in the fold. And he doesn't even have to worry about talent acquisition, because that's really being handled by Marko. So it's a comfy spot. It's a comfy spot for Horner. He does, however, have to perform come race day just as well. But anyway, so these are the things that Pérez is up against. The man who could be champion. He essentially has to maintain his Monaco form. Well, he actually has to be a little bit better than his Monaco form, but he has to maintain that level of form for the season, right? And hope for Verstappen to have some wobbles here and there with some timely interference from the other top two teams, or top three teams, all in all. But that's how I could see him winning the championship. I can't see him out-racing Verstappen in a one-to-one fight. Some people might argue the opposite. I would say if Checo is ahead, right? If Checo and Verstappen are going one-on-one and Checo starts ahead, yeah, maybe he could win that. But as is on points, and as will probably be for a lot of Grand Prix that do come, Verstappen's probably going to be ahead and Pérez is going to be chasing in the points and on the circuit. So he is going to have to find perhaps a different gear, a greater gear than what he has right now. And he's never been in a championship fight. He he doesn't have these gears. He doesn't know, well, he knows they exist, but he doesn't know how to access them. You can only access them by actually doing the thing, right? It's all new for Pérez, and he's got to either swim or, well, he won't sink, he'll just float, is what it is. He'll be safe. He'll be safe. He could either swim or just float and be safe. He won't sink, he's too good at this point to sink. But that's what he's up against. If we go to, I don't know, which Grand Prix has an interesting nightlife. Well, if we just go to a Grand Prix that has an interesting nightlife and Checo finds another win, and it's looking a little dicey for the championship, I wouldn't be surprised if another Monaco picture arises, but hey, who knows? They've got other avenues to play Pérez with. Red Bull, quite frankly, they've got other avenues to play Pérez with, so they could do something like that. There probably won't be a night that makes it as advantageous to execute, or as not advantageous, but as convenient to execute as a Monaco Grand Prix. But yeah, this is how he could challenge. Yes, he has retired in Canada. It is not a death knell for his title hopes, but it is a very timely shot. And I believe the shot came from Red Bull, but that's neither here nor there. That's just alleged. Like a lot of things in this video are alleged. Matter of fact, consider the whole video alleged. Anyway, that's the vid. Peace.
Hell breezy. Let me show you how to keep the dice rolling when you're doing that thing over there, homie. Hey, let's go! Cause I'm feeling like I'm running and I'm feeling like I gotta get away. Better know that I don't and I won't ever stop, cause you know I gotta win every day. Go! See, you really wanna pop me. Go! Just know that you will never flop me. And I know that I gotta be a little cocky. Go! You ain't never gonna stop me. Every time I come, a nigga gotta set it, then I gotta go, and then I gotta get it, then I gotta blow, and then I gotta shut it. Any little thing a nigga think that he be doing, cause it doesn't matter, cause I'm gonna dead it. Then I'm gonna murder everything and anything about it. Boom, about a bing. I gotta do a lot of things to make it clearer to a couple niggas that I always win, and then I gotta get it again and again and again. And I be doing it to death, and now I move a little foul. Nigga better call a ref, and everybody know my style. Niggas know that I'm the best when it comes to doing this, and I be banging on my chest, and I bang in the east, and I banging in the west, and I kinda give you more, and I will never give you less. You will hear it in the street, and you can read it in the press. Do you really wanna know what's next? Let's go. See the way we on it, and we all up in the race, and you know we gotta go now, try to keep up with the pace, and we struggling and hustling and set it and get it, and we always gotta do it, take it to another place, gotta taste it, and I gotta grab it, and I gotta cut all through this traffic just